Hi everyone, and welcome to Dialogue, the dialogue on analog music reproduction. In this video, we're going to explore the main audiophile records. What do I mean exactly? We're going to explore first, what is a true audiophile record? Where can we source them? And what are those reissues, those products, which have a concept, an audiophile concept since the beginning? We're going to explore the main labels, records, also some processes that define what is an audiophile grade record. Let's take a look. Okay, so first of all, it's important to make clear one aspect. Before talking audiophile, before analyzing what are high quality, high fidelity records, the most important aspect of all this is original productions, original pressings. Yes, before going in depth to and exploring what is an audiophile record, going to look for audiophile reeditions, I think that the most important part of this search of high fidelity must focus on the original issues, the original productions, the original pressings. Why is this? Because in most cases, these original pressings, which came out the first time, were obviously sourced from the original master tapes. If we're talking about mid-90s all the way down to the 40s, 50s, and so on. So obviously, before focusing on what is an audiophile reissue, I think it's just better. The first step is to look for original pressings, because that obviously is going to be, in most cases, not always, but in most cases, the best of the best, obviously. Plus, we must say that a lot of people look for the issue, the original issue, in the original country, the original nation where that was produced, recorded, and then published. Why is this? Because the original master tape, created from the session tapes, the original master tape is always going to remain where the original label is, where the record was produced. For example, Abbey Road, Beatles, Apple. It's going to stay there. So if you want an original pressing, the best of the best sounding product of Beatles, you're obviously going to have to search for a UK version of that LP. Why? Because the master tapes are there. And obviously the other records produced around the world, even in the same year, or a reissue which took place a few months or years afterwards, will be of high quality as well. But they're not going to be sourced from the original master tapes, because the original master tape is going to stay where the record was originally produced. They're going to make production copies from that master tape, which are going to travel to the different companies, labels, countries, etc. Every time you do a copy from the master copy, because unfortunately there's going to be, like for one production copy, for example, for a whole area, which from that are going to stem out other production copies. And every passage, unfortunately, is going to degrade the sound quality of those master tapes. Usually the common knowledge is that you're going to lose 1 dB, 1 decibel after every passage, decreasing obviously the dynamic range of that tape, of that record. So that's why a lot of people are not crazy looking for the UK original just because that's where it has been recorded or done. No, because they know that the original source is going to be better than the Netherlands, Germany, or whatsoever if it was issued somewhere else. For example, a Michael Jackson album, you're going to look for the original pressing in the US, not, for example, in the UK. So this is paramount because, as I said, the most usually the general rule is to look for those issues, those records, because in most cases they're even going to cost less than an audiophile reissue, while instead in a lot of other cases they're going to be highly collectible because there's a first edition. In fact, you can go for the second or third edition, in which are going to cost hundreds of dollars or even more, like for example the Beatles. So might as well look for a good reedition. For example, you can see there the mono reedition of the Beatles. Those were sourced from the analog tapes, which unfortunately did not happen to the stereo version, the black box, which was sourced by the analog tapes, but was transferred to digital, and then they created the vinyl LPs, unfortunately. So that's AAA, that's an analog, complete analog domain. But instead, the other one, this is just an example, the black box, the stereo version, was not sourced from directly from analog tapes. There was a digital passage. As I was saying, also second or third reissues are absolutely fine, because obviously those reissues, if they're happening, if they're taking place in the last century, are obviously going to be sourced always from analog tapes, not from digital files, which instead is going to start to happen around the mid-90s or even a little bit earlier. It depends. So obviously, if you hunt for the right issue, the beginning, the starting, the first times a certain album has been issued or reprinted, it's going to sound fantastic. But in other cases, might as well take a look at a recent reissue. Unfortunately, now there are a lot of reissues, even too many, of the same record also. So you really have to pay attention, because all of these, which obviously cost much less than other audiophile grade issues, are going to be sourced by digital files. And the sound is going to be compressed, unfortunately. They sound good, they sound okay, but they're compressed. They're not going to respect the fidelity of the original record. Hence, audiophile records. That's why a lot of people are willing to spend a little more for an audiophile grade record. So, first we're going to take a look at how to find first editions or similar editions, high quality editions of a certain album, and afterwards we're going to have a nice traveling through the audiophile landscape. Let's dive in.
Okay guys, so let's take a look at the correct way, a good way I suggest to find first editions or good high quality pressings in order to achieve the best sound possible from a specific album we're interested in. As I said, Discogs is the best place. Since a lot of people I know go to eBay, which is good, I think, if you're looking for new products, new albums, because you're sure that if something is new, it cannot be misunderstood. Instead, if you're looking for used albums, you never know if that person is correctly evaluating. It doesn't mean that he's a bad person, but maybe he doesn't even know how to grade a record. And moreover, more specifically, you don't even know if that album, in the most cases, is exactly that album that you're looking for, because there's so many editions, you're going to go crazy. So the best thing, I think, around the net is Discogs, because you can exactly target what you're looking for. Let's get practical. Let's go in depth in this aspect, and let's try to search for a specific album. For example, let's look for Michael Jackson Thriller. That should be kind of popular. So Michael Jackson. There we go. So the first thing to note, as you can see, there are a lot of different kinds, different issues. What we're looking for is this one, where it says all versions. So we click here, and in the next screenshot, we're gonna find all the information of that specific album, which is Michael Jackson Thriller, issued in 1982. Here you can have all the information of the album, as you can see the track list, and here we can see the amount of and the different kinds of versions that has been issued. For example, for this album, which is obviously very popular, we have 410 versions, which obviously include not only vinyl and LPs, but also cassettes, CDs, super audio CDs, the gold typologies of CDs, or also 8-track cassettes, or DAT. I mean, there's everything that's on sale, available, and you can find here. Not only on sale, actually, because Discogs is also a source of information. So here you can find also every possible issue known by human being, I would say, which doesn't necessarily mean this is on sale, actually. To buy a first edition of, for example, Michael Jackson Thriller, we have to follow this procedure. We have to go over here, and here we can see the total number of elements on sale. So this is the next place to go. We have to click on this link, and here we have all the possible editions, versions, typologies of media on sale. So we have to start adding some filters. We don't care about the currency, the genre, or the style. Obviously, we already know what we're looking for. So, for example, we want the first edition, we said, in vinyl. So we click vinyl. See here, there are all the other kinds of media if you want. See, 8-track, mini disc, everything. But we want vinyl. So let's get back to vinyl. As we said, we want the first edition. So here we can add another filter, the year. In 1982, we know that's the year when it came out. In fact, there are a lot of them, fortunately. And recently, for example, we have other numbers in the 2016 and other editions that came out afterwards. But we want the first one, so we're going to click here, adding this typology of filter. See, already we're going down now. We have 1,458, which is a lot, LPs, because we know this is the greatest selling album of history, actually, including all types of versions. But even in that moment during the 80s, I mean, Michael Jackson Thriller, wow, it's absolutely the best-selling album of all time already in that moment, and it still is. Okay, so at this point, the good idea is to go over here and select the cheapest one, starting from the lowest in price. So already we have another typology of layout. See, for example, this is only £2 but if we go here and we see the condition, that's the next part of the process, we see that this is not a good condition. So we have to go here and apply another filter. I highly recommend to go to mint or near mint conditions of the sleeve, but also the LP, the media, because anything else is going to be pretty bad. Plus, you must know that a lot of people overgrade their LPs, obviously. I mean, if it's a very good plus, they're probably going to classify it as near mint. Very few people, unfortunately, are honest in describing their conditions. So I recommend near mint. Mint is it's obviously the best of the best, but that's going to mean very expensive. Let's take a look. Well, it's not bad. I mean, we're starting from €15, €15, and going up, we rapidly increase. Since there's so many LPs around, this is a good chance to buy a near mint, actually, because €15 is not bad, the first one. Obviously, as you can see, we're talking about a Russian edition. If you really want to get the top of the tops, you should get a USA version of this record. But apart from this example, which obviously, as I said, has a lot of vinyl records, the general rule I suggest is to go to near mint, which is an excellent category. Actually, mint records are very rare. I'm almost impossible to find for many typologies of records. As I said, this is a rare case where you can find everything. So the good thing is to check if you are interested only in the media, which in this case is very near mint. But as you can see, the sleeve changes already dramatically. Which here is, for example, is fair, and fair is pretty bad. So the good idea, the best thing is to check where you find a near mint, or a very good plus for the external part, for the sleeve. So for example, here from the Netherlands, we have a near mint condition for the media and the sleeve, and it's only €10. Always remember to check shipping. Most of the people that selling records on Discogs will write down the different types of prices for 1, 2, 3 or more LPs or whatever they're selling, and at a national or international level. If nothing is written here, do contact the seller asking how much, because otherwise if you proceed in buying something, then it's hard to go back and you're going to lose your feedback. That's a little bit like eBay. So this is more or less the best way to find an original pressing, which will most probably have the best type of audio, since it's the first one sourced from the original master tapes. Do inform yourself if that edition, although, is a good edition, because as I said before, sometimes unfortunately reeditions, audiophile reeditions, are better than the original. That's it.